made everyone too big. I made everyone too big. Look at my smooth intro has gone wrong because I made everyone too big. Hello, everyone. Bear with. Look, it's lovely. Thank you for joining us. There we go. Look, Ben's too little at the top, so we need to shrink everyone down just a little bit because we don't want to miss out on Ben, do we? He's the main reason people turn up. That's that. That's
Good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome to Boys of the Baltic Star.
We're here. It's amazing. Good evening. Welcome, everyone, as Ben said, and welcome. It says next to me, Boys from the Baltic Star. Oh, boys tonight, though. I always feel bad. We did a little and girls when we get to that. Well, welcome to tonight's Boys from the Baltic Star, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for it's a later start. There's many reasons for it, and they all come down to me, as always, on a Saturday. So thank you for your patience, especially Irradiated Imp, who is here in full cheerleader mode. I've heard rumours of pom-poms, but I haven't seen any yet, so we'll see. If it's your first time on the channel, you're very, very, very welcome, and we hope you enjoy what we've got this evening. It'll be a slightly different vibe to what we normally do. We're normally very chirpy and chill and a bit jokey in that, and there'll be times for jokes, but tonight's setting is a little bit more serious than some, and we want to do it properly, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so there might be some seriousness, so that's a warning for those that aren't used to it. As such, we have taken off the option for me to put my muscles out or for Ben to pose ridiculously. Those are gone for tonight. Just felt wrong. I missed them already. We'll run. I don't know how long. We'll run. It depends. We're running through a really good introduction from the designer, and which should set everything up really nicely. But we'll probably run 2 and a bit hours if everyone's okay with that. We'll have a break in the middle for about 5 minutes to recharge our vodkas and to meet some borscht, and we'll be back. So stereotyping, and we'll be back after that. Please feel free to stay for as long or as little as you want. Thank you for popping in and giving us a go, and if you don't enjoy it so much, that's absolutely fine. Thank you for giving it a go. We really appreciate that. Feel free to chat or lurk. Chatting, we try to keep friendly, and when we have opportunities, we'll jump into chat and chat. So please feel free to. As you can see, Ben is doing already. Ben's obviously in high spirits tonight. He's very excited about giving Nazis a licking. Please talk to lurks. Well, we love our lurkers. If you just want to hang out and listen and see what's going on while doing other stuff, that's absolutely great too. There is a red sun there you can click, which is linked to our Traveller campaign for Imperial credits. I don't think they were the official currency of Soviet Union at the time. There's things to spend some money on. Have a click through, see what you want. There's fewer than sometimes. There's 3 big things for tonight, probably. You can name an NPC. There's space for some NPCs, so if you want to get involved, name an NPC. Preferably a name that makes sense and not just like Steve McDuffin or something like that in the middle of a Soviet airbase. But you can give our dear friends, we can give our crew a boon. Haven't quite worked out how to do the boon, but I'll make sure they get a boon, a re-roll or something like that to give them an advantage. So there's that there. Otherwise, just have a flick through, see what you want. You can make Ben drink, which is always a pleasure. He doesn't need any excuses, but he'll do it
anyway. To be fair, I'll drink with or without the prompt.
Exactly. You're just wasting your points, quite frankly, people. There is I'll drink to that, which is always 1 credit. And if people say something or something sort of picks up in the game, there's a moment of sort of jolliness and happiness, then we like to leave something as 1 credit so anyone can join in without spending many of their points. We want it to be for all. We are playing tonight the game Night Witches by Jason Morningstar. A fantastic game which I've had for a while and had my eye on, and we finally decided to get around to it. 4 of the 5 regulars are here tonight. 1 couldn't make it, and she's sadly missed already, but we're looking forward to her being back for next week. It's a game that a few people have played online, and they've done incredibly well with it, and there's some stuff. So if you want to look out more for things, there's stuff on YouTube, there's Twitch stuff and so on. Just check it out. The game itself is available and very reasonably priced, so go for that. Quick introductions of who people are, and also Irritated Imp, if you could tell me if volumes are balanced. When the other lot start talking more, could you please tell me if I'm much louder or much quieter than the others? That'd be absolutely fantastic. Thank you. So my name is Luke. Hello, I'm in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm playing as the sort of the games master tonight, the GM. So I'll be playing many people, and you might get bored of my voice this first session. I'm hoping that I can offer space for other people as well. But by its very nature, there is quite a lot of structure that needs to get put into place first thing, because everyone's learning the game. However, if there's one person who I know can be trusted to jump in with both fuzzy feet, it is my brother from another mother, the housewife's favourite, the man with the perfectly coiffured moustache. It is the silver fox himself. It's Ewan. Good evening, Ewan. How are you?
Thanks, Luke. I'm good, thanks. Oh, so much to say there. I mean, first off, you don't have to bring up my furry hobbit feet, just because I'm sure my feet are not furry. Let the internet know that. And second, thanks. I've been working on the mustache, for the aeronautically themed game that we're about to play. I mean, it's very not apt for the setting, but nonetheless, it's the best I had to offer. So here we are.
You've done yourself proud. You've done the channel proud, and you've done the whole of the Soviet Union proud. Congratulations. I'm not going to say who you're playing tonight. I'm not going to ask you because we're going to go into that as the game goes on. That's what I love about these introduction sessions. No, I know. I know. It's all
exciting,
unexpected. I'm going to jump two above you if that's okay, because I do like to introduce a guest, especially a guest and friend of show. Ben's moved himself around. Oh, he's jumped back up there again. Exactly. Ben's doing things that's jumping us around. There he is. Right at the top still, after a bit. Oh, no, it's off. Yeah, there he is. He's right at the top. It is the smartest man in any room. He lives his entire life in the Twin Peaks dream sequence. A man that does not have hobbit feet. It is the sensational, the one person that can speak Russian really well, but just phrases that aren't useful. Unless you're talking about miniature submarines. It is Ben. Good evening, Ben, and how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Yes, very much looking forward to this one. I think this is going to be quite fascinating. And you're right, the facial hair probably doesn't suit the game for Ewan or myself, because as we all know, during the Second World War, particularly in the Soviet Union, facial hair was rationed. So we're frankly, showing off here in a way that is unacceptable.
It's very, very bourgeois, isn't it, to have so much facial hair? Again, we don't know who your character is yet, Ben, but we'll get into that as we go, and something to look forward to. But finally, we're joined by one other person who has appeared a few times on our channel, often in Tales from the Baltic Star, often playing the star of the episode, with a big love for Kara especially. It is someone that people from across the Atlantic may feel more comfortable with her accent. It is the sensational Kelly. Good evening, Kelly. How are you?
Good evening. Thank you guys again for having me. Always a pleasure to play with you. Such a chill stream, and you always make everybody feel so comfortable.
Excellent. Well, tonight it's not going to be chill, and it's going to be very uncomfortable.
All right. I will see you all later.
I mean, Ben and I
not highlighted for me, I'm afraid. So,
dig in for a long winter.
All right. I guess I'll stay for a while.
Yeah. See how it goes. The game's starting.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
It's starting in February, but it's gonna thaw out a little bit as we go along. You'll be all
right. Here in Canada, it's been cold anyway, so I can relate.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like being at home, just with different writing, really.
Exactly.
More quite. Thank you. Okay, I've just upped myself. Imp, thank you. Just let me know if. Because I do believe I do need to go higher. It's very important that I'm louder than everyone anyway. Okay, so here we are, dear friends. Here are our crew members. And now the most important thing to remember this evening is they are all female crew members, because they are part of a special battalion in the Soviet Air Force at the time, the 588th, 588th, however you want to say it, night bomber regiment. And the most important thing about these is that they were all women, and they all flew very outdated aircraft and were scoffed at and looked down the nose at by the male members of the Red Army, and were very much seen as, given something to do kind of thing, given second-hand uniforms, often too big, second-hand equipment, rusted stuff, planes that were falling apart, boots that were barely holding together, and they got on with it. And anyone that knows their history or looks it up will know they did incredible work, and a lot of them won huge amounts of medals for their country. And the number of sorties they flew and the number of losses they took was sensational. It was well worth checking up. But you see, I'm bigging them up, and I don't know why I'm bigging them up, because these three are fresh off the rank, and rank is very much the word.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've had to make their way there, their own way, to Saratov from all across the country. No doubt stinking, sweaty, shivering, hungry, thirsty, feet hurting. And after all that, they get to Saratov, a city at war. I get to put up my first graphic. Oh, I love graphics. The darkened streets are filled with soldiers, but you're still civilians in your best clothes. Your stinky best clothes. Patriotic marches in celebration of the 24th anniversary of the founding of the Red Army. Impassioned speeches by Comrade Stalin and Marshal Zhukov fill the air. You can imagine it now. The day is not far distant when the Red Army will thrust back the brutal enemy, and the red banners will fly again victoriously over the entire Soviet land. It's easy to get caught up in it. You've known many people die, many family members and friends lost, land lost and fought over and bled over. With a Red Army Air Force transit voucher in hand, you board a ferry across the Volga with 100 other hopeful, enthusiastic and confused young men and women. One woman stands out in the crowd, dressed in a splendid uniform, with sky blue shoulder boards and a medal pinned to her chest. We haven't yet learned to know either her rank or what the medal signifies. But we do all know we want to be just like her. So, as the three of you are boarded onto a ferry across the Volga, it would be absolutely wonderful to know a little bit about who you are, what you're wearing when you're not in uniform, got any luggage, what sort of shoes you have on, a bit about you. And it'd be lovely if we could start at the top with Ben, please.
My name is Maria Vasilieva Kachushina. I'm sorry. My brother and I lived in Smolensk, and with the invasion in 1941, he died defending the city. 1st of August it was. I fled for the Volga, fled for the Great Vostok, and after a while stopped running and started looking for a way to fight back. And this is my chance.
One of many people who, say, family members are no doubt have died that are on this ferry. In fact, around you, you can see a couple of young men looking at photos and discussing their dead sisters, a dead mother. And you feel a kinship, I suppose, with those, knowing that you, just like them, are doing your part, that you're going to fight back the Germans and win back the country for your people. Nearby you, there's another lady. Ewan, could you tell us about her?
Yes, I play Vera Volkovia. She's dressed in some very common worker type clothes. Not in fact, I'm going to go off the word from the sheet. She has a very compact body type. So certainly not. She doesn't stand out in the crowd of people. Somewhere between the common clothes and the stature. She carries herself in quite a nervous-ish looking kind of way. Her eyes are darting quite quickly left and right. And she's making her way from Leningrad.
Not the only one from Leningrad. There's a little buddle around you. You can hear talk of your hometown, about the terrible things happening and the mood there. And you feel, for the first time, perhaps homesick of the place you left behind, but you knew that you had to do what you had to do, and you've made the right choice. Another person who we hope has made the right choice is upon your shoulder, not literally like a parrot, but just behind it. And that person is played by Kelly, please.
So, Senya Voronin is newly arrived. She's wearing her large overcoat, large for her, over her athletic frame. A coat she's borrowed from her younger brother. She's from the city of Chelyabinsk. It's a city that recently Stalin has turned into a big producer of tanks and ammunition, and has turned pretty much the whole city into a large factory area. It's where her father and mother are working. That's where several of her brothers are working, those that aren't part of a tank corps somewhere. But she didn't want to do that. She had tried to avoid some of the war effort by getting into a ballet in the city, a fairly famous one, but couldn't make the grade. So it was either the factory or her other interest, as a lot of the other young girls and such that she had known. They were participants in the flying clubs that are popping up all over Russia. And so with that, her grandmother, who was probably the most out there of her family, the less traditional of all the rest, encouraged her to take flight, so to speak, pack up and try her luck, try to get into the ranks of the flyers. And so that's what she did. Packed up her suitcase, it's all strapped up. She's carrying it in two hands, and she's going to try her luck.
Not the only, of course, who's going to try her luck. The 100 on that boat, all are all hoping to be lucky, all hoping to see home again at the end of the war, however long that war takes. Now, for young Vera Volkovia, turning round as she does on hearing talk of her hometown of Leningrad, she accidentally bumps into the shoulder of that splendid woman with her blue shoulder boards and medals on her chest. And the woman spins around and eyes you up and down for a minute before, perhaps thankfully, deciding to go for a slightly softer approach. New recruit, what's your name? Where do you come from?
I'm sorry. I'm Vera from Leningrad.
Vera? Vera who?
Volkovia.
Volkovia. I don't know the surname, but if you're from Leningrad, you must have seen enough to know that we We must fight strong together, yes?
Yes, of course. My you may know my family, Volkova.
Hmm.
There was the the fool. As story goes, the fool registering my birth had a few drinks and added in the extra eye. So I'm actually the only one that I'm aware of.
So you have 3 eyes. Ah, splendid. Well, you've introduced yourself.
She lets off a bit of a nervous laugh.
Ah, don't worry. I'm Captain Evgenia Lobodeva of the 588th Night Bomber Regiment, one of the 3 regiments being formed by Major Marina Raskova, the famous air hero. You must have heard of her.
Yes, of course. And the eyes still darting around, she snaps into her best attention and salute. Yes, of course, Captain.
Ah. You must be coming to join us, or at least hoping to, if you can complete your training.
That is my dream.
Well, it's going to be hard. You see, we focus on night harassment, and we do some of the most difficult, dangerous work. Don't let the men know. They think they do the hard work, but it's us truly that are the spine of the Red Army. We're glad to have competent new recruits. Are you competent, Vera?
I suppose so.
Oh, excellent. You see, we'll be flying outmoded biplanes under the cover of darkness in all weather conditions. How do you feel about flying in the snow, Vera?
Yeah, I imagine the same as I feel about flying in any weather. I'm excited. I'm excited to get airborne.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit. And we need you airborne. We need all you women airborne. The war situation is bad. Even Comrade Stalin says as much. You see, our winter, just gone, stopped the fascists 50 miles from Moscow. But the spring muds have blunted our counteroffensive, and now things are very uncertain. Personally, I aim to change that. Are you with me, recruit?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, step lively. Obey your section leader and squadron commander, and you'll get the chance to kick the Hitlerite bandits right in the balls. You'll enjoy that, won't you, Vera?
Yes, as you say. Yes.
You ever kicked a man in the balls, Vera? Seen the way they crumple?
No, sir.
Oh, you'll see them crumple all right. Whether it's the man themselves or from a distance, you'll see them crumple and fall. Glorious moment. Now, if you'll excuse me. Ah! She goes off to wave to someone else, leaving you a bit stunned.
The eyes still dart, but the shoulders definitely relax a bit, and she somewhat calms down. Still looks a little bit nervy, but
Okay. The ferry bumps up against the dock in Engels, and suddenly everyone is all business. They're shouting, pushing, rolling trucks and equipment off. People start barging past from behind. It's time to get moving. Are you all happy to go along with? How are you getting off at this point?
Definitely following.
Yep. Try not to be pushed around too much in the crowd.
Yeah, definitely. Vera will put an arm over her messenger bag that she's got with her. It's about the only luggage she has, and follows along.
As you get off, you look across the Volga. Engels Aerodrome is still 4 kilometers away. While a truck is waiting for Captain Lobodeva and the other soldiers in uniform, you're told to walk. Hopefully you wore sensible shoes. The skies overhead are filled with aeroplanes. Sleek new P-2 bombers shining in the sunlight. Stubby, aggressive-looking Yak-1 fighter planes and the plodding old PO-2 biplanes. These look ridiculously out of date, and their tiny engines sound for all the world like sewing machines compared to the roars of the greater planes. As you trudge on and near the aerodrome, footsore and hungry, you see for the first time how massive and busy it really is. There are hundreds of planes here, hordes of Soviet aviators, many of them women. Voronin, describe to me your feeling of entering such a bustling military place for perhaps the first time.
Well, it's kind of reminiscent of home because of all the factories and all the stuff that's being churned out there. So, if anything, it's a little bit comforting, I suppose.
I guess it is to hear that sort of the rumbling around of the mixture of humanity and the machinery. I guess is sort of, the
Yeah,
hustle and bustle.
the machinery is a different sound though, the planes versus tanks. So,
Oh, definitely. And this is very much a plane-centered base, of course.
it's a good thing as new recruits that we'll probably get to fly new planes.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Isn't that what they say? New recruits, new planes.
Something like that.
Katyushina, how about you? How are you feeling in this moment?
It's been a miserable time for her. So as she looks around, she sees aircraft and people and activity that is with purpose, with teamwork, new kit, new equipment, and this and a big sort of smile breaks out across her face. It's like, yes, this is what we need.
You're feeling a positivity, a confidence that this could lead the fight back after such a bleak winter.
This is the first step. There are a lot of steps, but this is the first step.
There is a first step. How about you, Vera? How are you feeling with your darting eyes and your awkward smile?
Vera looks very much more comfortable than she did on a ferry or full of people, or a walking crowd full of people. Her eyes are very much up. They're still darting, but they're darting from plane to plane with it more excitement than nervous feeling. And she feels weirdly at home, I suppose. Excited to get in the air.
Good. Excitement is good. And you see, there is a lot of chance to get into the air because flights out of Engels and the auxiliary field at Tambov happen nightly in the cold weather through rain and snow. And right now, it's sleet. It's February 1942, and as you'd expect and as you're used to, it is bitterly cold. The pace of instruction for you will be relentless. 3 years of training and now compressed into 4 months. They need people in the air and quickly. Hanging over everyone's head are qualification flights for piloting and navigation, as well as the spectre of the final exam, which will be, as you've heard before you signed up, an actual combat mission over German positions. You have to do your job to prove you can do your job. The region around Saratov is dominated by the mighty Volga River, which is its most prominent aid to navigation, and one that you'll learn to navigate to very quickly. Because you don't have any radar or anything like that in those planes, that's for sure. You'll be using your eyes and what you see below you. Maybe the stars at night. Beyond the valley of the Volga, gently rolling hills and steppe are the primary landform, with empty fields that await spring and cultivation. The auxiliary field at Tambov is in a more densely forested country with fewer landmarks. Training is taking place during the wettest season in the otherwise dry region. The furthest German advance places their forward units southwest of Voronezh, with most training flights very unlikely to encounter enemy troop concentration or reconnaissance, which is good news for your training. When you reach the main gate of Engels Aerodrome, a 4th Air Army military policeman reviews your papers and tells you all to report to Sergeant Katieva in Logistics Area 6 and request the following items off her. This might be worth making a note of. You need to request service uniforms, flight boots, 1 week's rations, and directions to the 588th trainee barracks. Do you get that? Or do I need to say it again?
What was the second one?
One of you. Service uniforms, flight boots, 1 week's rations, and directions to the 588th trainee barracks. You, pointing at Katrina. Repeat it back.
Service uniform, flight boots, 1 week of rations and directions to the 588th training barracks.
Very good. You, looking at Volkovia.
Looking at who, sorry?
Vieira. Oh, what?
Yes.
Repeat back.
Me?
Yes.
Service uniforms, flight boots, 1 week's rations, directions to the 588 training barracks.
He looks at you, clearly thinking you're not going to last long around this place. Before eyes rolling more keenly to the attractive Voronin. And you?
Service uniforms, 1 week of rations, directions to the 588 training barracks, and there was another thing, rations, I believe. Nope, flight boots, sorry.
It's lucky you're pretty. Go on, the three of you, off you go.
As I start lugging the suitcase I have, I do kind of just bend my head a little bit towards Vera and go, that captain was talking to you back on the dock area there. Are we really going to learn to kick people in the balls?
It was hard to tell whether it was figuratively speaking or literal.
I think I'd be good at it.
Well, you sound like the right kind of person to make friends with.
I hope so.
I'm Vera, by the way.
Hi, I'm oh God. Sorry, I'm Senya. Sorry, momentarily distracted. It's all so much.
That's okay. I get that sometimes. The eyes are still very much in the sky.
She's flaming with embarrassment at that because she was very distracted for a moment.
So you start your walk across the base, following the instructions. Where did you need to get to? Does anyone remember?
Well, we need to get to the 588th training barracks, so
we need to ask someone.
Yeah. Are there sort of people milling about close to us that we can ask?
Yeah, you've got most of the people rushing around at this time during the day are mechanics. A lot of the people that are flying, of course, are trying to get some shut-eye or in their barracks. So apart from the newbies, who might not be the best people to ask, the people that are rushing around are mechanics. There's often with grease over the face, carrying big chunks of aeroplane Some very new and shiny looking, especially when the men are carrying them. The female mechanics working with sort of the 588 often carrying older equipment, which doesn't bode well to your eyes, it must be said. But you can choose to stop a harried male or female mechanic.
I'm gonna stop the first female I see. Can I identify the unit markings on people, by the way?
You can. I'll tell you what we'll do. I wasn't expecting it, but I'm going to let you do it because it's Ben, and when Ben's not jamming, he likes to throw some things in. We'll let you do a move. We'll call it an eyeball. So one of the moves in Night Witches is called eyeball.
Mhm.
We're trying to do it in the game that's a bit more natural. So I don't want people to say I'm going to eyeball. I'll sort of, if it is, I'll say that's what they're going to do.
Mhm.
Now, although we haven't talked about this skill yet, Maria's skill is 0. So you need to add that to 2d6, please.
Okay, okay. I can do that maths. 2d6 plus nothing at all.
It barely constitutes maths, I feel, at that point.
The war is going to go brilliantly. That's a total of 3.
You can't make it out. You're not. You don't know it so much. You don't know the insignia much. There's something there, but you couldn't tell.
All right, then I will just stop the first woman near to me who I can ask. I walk over. Excuse me, comrade.
Yes, make it quick.
We have a list of objectives to hit. We need to get uniforms and boots and rations, and we need to get to the training barracks for the 588. Can you point us in the right direction?
She rolls her eyes and she says, yes, follow me for a minute, and when I leave the path, carry on straight for another 50 meters, take a right and then a left, and you should be at the you should be where you need to be. Logistics 6.
Spasiba.
And she rushes off with barely a nod to you.
And I've obviously spotted the other 2. We've been traveling together, haven't I? So I'll sort of nod to them. This way.
Yeah, after the encounter at the gate, Vera will very much be sort of awkwardly trying to blend in with the other 2.
Yeah, not trying to blend. I'll hurry to catch up to Maria.
Fantastic. So the group had, as you come through, the group had thinned out. Because as I said before, there was men and women and trucks and things. So of course the men have gone to their area. Trucks have been driven around off. And so by the time you get there, there's maybe 20 new female recruits, sort of naturally bunching together. People from the same area, people that they may have signed up with. And yeah, you 3 can be together.
Okay, so we do exactly what she said. We follow her, and then when she dives off the path to whichever hangar she's heading to, we'll keep going, turn right, turn left, and aim for logistics 6.
Seems simple.
Yeah. We can read and write, so we'll be able to spot any label on the building. I count real good up to 6.
That is very true.
It makes the 50 meters straight ahead somewhat difficult, but you can just do it in multiples of 6. It's fine.
Lots of meters. So yeah, when we get there, assuming we do get there, is what's the structure like? Is it like a typical hangar building on an airfield?
I will show you.
Or is it?
Sorry,
or is
second.
this just where we get the materials?
It's very much on the edge of the 588, which I can show you in a minute. Of course, I can show you that. Hang on, let me get that up for you. So as you come into the corner of Engels Aerodrome, which is given over to the 588. You come in from the right-hand side as you see it. The darker grey are trodden paths. The rest is quite dirty, frozen earth, patches of grass here and there, but very much looking pretty is not the primary concern of Engels Aerodrome. Let's put it that way. So the dark is the more trodden in paths. The light are runways and simplified graphical versions of taxiing areas and such like.
Yep.
The dark lines are where the planes are generally kept ready to go. Everything else we can talk about later, but for now, you make it past B barracks. You see that it's a barracks as you go past, and into L6, which is Logistics Building 6, on the edge of the 588th.
Okay. Maria will just walk up and push open the door.
And don't you bloody do that again, you idiot! Someone could have been killed. If we're short of something, you get it, all right? You don't go sell it to some guy around the corner for extra vodka. Now, I swear, you do that again, I'm handing you over to the police ourselves. Get out of it. A very upset looking young lady in uniform hurries past you after sort of nodding and saluting quickly and scurries off out in the direction of where you've just been. A woman turns around, dressed in what anyone can tell is a sergeant's uniform, after using a very sergeant's voice. She looks at you and says, "What do you three want? Don't just stand there. Come in. Now."
I'll walk forward smartly, and if I can tell that it's a sergeant, as you said, walk up. "Hello, Sergeant. We need some items before we get to our barracks."
"I'm Sergeant Masha Katyeva. Who are you?" "Scratch that. I've seen your type come and go. You'll be down in flames within a fortnight. I don't need to get to know you. What do you want?"
"We need uniforms.
"Right.
We need flight boots.
You certainly do."
We need a week's worth of rations for ourselves. And then we need to get to the training barracks for the 588th.
"Look, I am not your mother. I don't have any boots or filled rations. So to go do one, choke yourselves, for all I care. Look, I'll tell you what we got, and you can pick from that." And she motions over to just a real ragtag pile of stuff. If you were hoping for like a row of stuff where you walk along, get handed something, and that's gone. We got some nice, sarcastic, nice used men's uniform that won't fit you. Looks at the three of you. Yeah, definitely won't fit you. Have to take them in. We got a goddamn aeroplane in a packing crate out there. If you want that, no time to assemble it. Just dropped it off like that. What pointless. We got endless shovels for some reason. So you eat a shovel, you can have one of them. Ask me for anything else.
Uniforms, then. We need uniforms.
I have a question. When you say used uniforms,
yeah,
you people retired?
Xenia just picks up one of them and puts her finger through the bullet hole and just kind of waves her finger at Vera.
Sure.
They did clean it.
Pensions now they get.
Well, they don't need them anymore, that's for sure. That's why we get them. If you're lucky, you get one they've cleaned. I've heard that a lot of people shit themselves when they get shot down.
Well, if I'm going to go, I'm certainly leaving something behind.
Maria is going to grab a sensible looking uniform that's not too enormous and take it.
Yeah, start looking through the pile of stuff to see what's even close. And there are no boots anywhere to be seen. Is that correct?
There are no boots at all.
Is there anything else that wasn't on the list that's around here?
Shovels.
Hmm.
A big pile of new shining shovels.
Anything near the sergeant's desk? Or whatever they were using to stand behind and write stuff on?
Oh, you know what? Yet again, we're gonna go and actually make an in-game roll. Oh, you cheeky one.
Looking for something shiny and perhaps personal.
Okay, we're gonna go for that would tend to go into scrounge. Are you looking just to eyeball something or grab it given the chance?
Grab it given the chance. Anything shiny.
Okay. Then what I need you to do, you're not going through the channels. You're not going to ask. You're going to just do it without the paperwork, as it were. Just grab it.
Exactly. Ideally, something personal that belongs to the sergeant, if there's anything, like even her coffee mug, if it's there or something.
Nice. I'd like you to roll 2d6 plus your luck, please.
All my stats are easy because I have 0 in everything.
Yeah.
That would be a 6.
6. You sort of see that she does have a well-used mug, but before you get a chance to do anything about it, she's picked it up and she's drinking from it again and sort of keeps it in her hand when she's finished her mouthfuls. It's very plain logistics. There's not much in there by way of home. There's a few framed pictures of honourable leaders, past and present, on the wall, of course, but not much else.
Lots of empty shelves.
Yes. Katieva turns on you as you're sort of looking towards her. Look, tell you what. I'll hunt you down some nice lady boots, all right? But before that, I need to focus on getting some engines. All the stuff that breaks on them engines. I've got to get cylinders, heads, gaskets, pumps. Gauges, canvases, canvas dope, control wires, surfaces, wheels, struts, bomb release mechanisms. I could go on, I can't. Now all of that, I need to get before I get you boots. All right?
Okay, can we help?
No. Go see Senior Lieutenant Petrova. Ask for her in the barracks. A barracks, I think. Just keep walking that way. You'll find it. If you find a barracks that looks like no decent woman in her right mind would want to call home, that's the barracks.
You paint such a vivid picture. Thank you. Okay, I'll head towards the door but before I do, actually, I will take the opportunity to get changed here into the uniform.
Okay. Is Maria the only one getting changed at this point?
How clean was the uniform I ended up finding?
Oh, I tell you what. Let's go sideways on the rules and we'll decide. Roll a d6, please. And I'll tell you what, you can all do this. On a roll of, and I'll tell you before you roll it so you know what you want to roll. 6 is pretty good nick, clearly been washed, no one's defecated, and there's like no noticeable pockets missing or bullet holes or buttons missing. So as good as it's going to get. 1 is the opposite.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we're quickly talking about condition of uniform, Luke, are there any that have I mean, I know this isn't school, right? But are there any that have got any clear name markings on them? Like they obviously belong to somebody before them. Because Vera will be keeping an eye out for something similar. Something that has a name on it.
Okay.
Whether it be in the collar or on the, whatever if that is a thing.
Roll 2d6 plus your skill, please.
Ugh.
No, make it plus your luck, sorry. 2d6 plus your luck.
That's a 7 either way.
Okay.
That's nothing.
As you sort of rifle through, you do find a couple with names on sort of on the collar. Is there anything particular looking for, or just anything that's been?
No. Just literally a memento of, the fragility of life in the service, I suppose. A reminder for her going forwards.
You just want to see it, or just say, do you want to see it or take it? You just want
She'll take that as her uniform.
Okay. Well, on a 7, you get what you need, but something's happened to you. And there's only 2 things out of these 4. I can normally offer you things that you can choose, but here it's going to be 2 things because the others don't count. You get it, but what you get is poor quality. All for the name. So roll a d6. A 1 to 3 is a 1 quality, and 4 to 6 is a 2 quality.
Okay. So 4.
Okay, so it's a 2 quality uniform.
It
don't stink. About. It don't stink, but there's blood stains on it. A button's missing. It's that sort of. It's not great at all.
Yeah.
And
cool.
And as you do that, Katieva turns on you and says, "It's not a fashion show. You all right? You're getting a choice of things. We'll keep my eye on you. What's your name?"
Volkovia.
Volkovia? What sort of name's that?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Not Volkova. Volkovia.
No. She won't roll her eyes, but she'll slump down slightly. And my family, the rest of my family is Volkova. There were some complications with the staff at the registry of my name.
Oh.
I'm the only one in my family with the name.
Well, that makes it even easier for me to remember you, Volkovia. I've got my eye on you, thinking you swan around here. Now get your uniform, get out of here.
Yes, sir. She'll try to skulk to a corner somewhere to also get changed into the uniform.
Curly, what?
Eyesight.
Curly, what did you roll? 1 to 6.
I rolled a 5.
Oh, so good uniform. A little bit scuffed around the cuffs, maybe, but otherwise all buttons in good condition. Pockets are there. No bullet hole. No blood. No suspicious stains on the trousers. It's all pretty good.
Excellent.
You chose wisely. Ben?
I rolled a 5.
Oh, hark at you two.
We had extra time while the sergeant was distracted.
That is true. The sergeant turned on poor Vera. We're starting to get
Speaking of which, did she leave her cup behind when she did that?
No, it's very much tightly in her hands with a roll of 6, I'm afraid. It's not leaving her hands again for the rest of the game with that roll. You take your new uniforms and you head for the barracks. As you're walking down that pathway, let me just move the...
Everybody's been so cheerful here so far.
I tell you, I'm not as afraid of the Germans now I've met her.
Oh, you're right. Maybe it's part of the whole training process.
I worry it's the result of the training process.
They don't seem to have a lot of stuff here. I mean, where I'm from with all the tank factories and everything, they have all the stuff. My brothers never went short of anything, they said.
Okay. Well, that's good news for your brothers.
And the tanks.
Tanks are good.
Where are you from?
Me?
Chelyabinsk.
Well, general. Yeah, and you?
Far west. Very far west. Where the first fires were lit, I'm afraid.
Oh.
Sorry, Current.
No, you go.
I was going to say, as you reach that sort of corner between the stores and the barracks, very empty sounding stores. the road up to the parade, a group of three uh, leather jacket-clad male pilots, real flyboys, walk past, and immediately the catcalls begin. Oh, new recruits, looking good. How you doing? Do you need a strong man to get you in the air safely? Get you home? Space in that cot with us? How about you, pretty? Looking at Maria.
That'd be helpful. Do you know where we could find one?
Vera chuckles.
Right. Roll for me 2d6. Would you say you're acting more like a hooligan or acting more like a lady?
Um, definitely hooligan.
Okay. Add your luck to it, please.
That's a 0.
Yeah.
Oh God, this is not going well at all. That's a total of 2.
Ooh.
Immediately, the guy stops and he walks straight over to you and he gets right in your face. And he says, "What are you even doing here? Belong here?
Me?
There's
I'm
many.
here to kill Germans.
You need to leave that to us. There's many babies back home that need your breast. Get out of it. Don't want to see you here again." And his mates sort of grab him and like pull him away from you as he sort of starts poking his finger into your chest.
I'm going to turn to the other two and say, you know, this city's called Engels, where we are right now. Named after a German, you know. I think there's a lot of people out there who want to see a lot more of our cities named after Germans. Let's make this the last one, right?
Yeah, we'll definitely outfly them.
Yeah. Vera straightens herself up in a poorly fitting, poorly quality uniform. Yeah.
As you arrive to the doorway to the barracks, there's a woman stood on the doorstep, and she's not really older than any of you, and is waiting to greet you, and seems to be, although not friendly, still quite professional. Is definitely of a friendlier variety than Katieva. Let's put it that way. My name is Senior Lieutenant Petrova. I head up the logistics and training here on 588. Please come in. She motions you in, points over to a row of empty bunks. Says, put your belongings there, take a bunk each, make sure you're in your new uniform, and I shall be back in 5 minutes.
Thank you.
And she walks out, leaving you in a barracks that is currently empty of people, but full of bunks, full of cots.
Are they singles? Or
They're all singles, and they're quite rustically made. A lot are just made from wood, trees that have just been found, chopped down. A lot quicker to do than bringing in metal and steel, which can be used for more important things right now. Let's put it that way. Some are also boxes that have been repurposed. You can see from some of the slats, sort of things that have been stamped on as they carried other things. On the far wall, there's a row of 10 cots, and behind there's 8 because you've got the doorway and so on. But they're lined against each other. A few between them have had sort of someone's put up kind of a rail with some material for a little bit of privacy, but your 3 very much do not have that. And next to each of them, they just have a very simple, like a bedside table with just 2, not even full drawers, just 2 cubbies. And there's a space that you can hang a few clothes perhaps, but that's about it. And it's quite dark. There's a couple of light that's in there, but it's not great. Cobwebs in the corner.
Not what I was expecting. I don't know, try and find a cot, I guess, against the wall.
And I think I'll follow and pick a cot next to, wherever Senia ends up. I'll sit down on a cot next to her.
Yeah, and if it's possible to find somewhere close to, frankly, the only people that Vera knows on this aerodrome, she will do the same.
Okay, so if you look at how A barracks is,
Yeah.
and the top of it, along where it says A, you've got your 10 bunks, and on the far right, so the top right hand corner is where Senya can take, right in that top right hand corner. That is free. Maria can go on the one next to her, so the next one along. As for you, Vera, the next couple are taken, but the one directly below Senya, so the bottom right, is available if you wish to take that one.
Yes.
Yeah. So you've got
I'll take that one.
So you've got a little reverse L-shaped cubby, between the three of you at that end.
Yeah.
And it's darker there.
That
There's not many windows, and you're a bit further away from the door. It's cold and it's musky, but for the first time, it almost feels cozy.
A little space to call our own. He'll say to the other two.
Well, I'm glad at least I know somebody around me. This is a little bit scary, I guess. Take out the clothes, put them in the cubby, shove the suitcase or whatever under the bed if there's room.
Yeah, there'll be space on the bed.
Tuck a few of whatever the keepsakes are in my pockets because I'm not leaving them out.
No mug, sadly.
Yeah.
So while you're sat around getting used to your corner, this is where we can talk about your roles, your ranks as part of your conversation, and your stats as part of it. It's up in the graphics, of course, but this is your chance. So yeah. So if that's okay with you guys, okay.
I'll get into my uniform while we're talking.
Brilliant. So as you're getting into your uniform, Maria starts to share a bit about who she is, her rank, what her role is, what she is as a person, really.
So, I come from the west, Smolensk. Smolensk was taken by the Germans in July of 41. It was sudden and it was violent, but it wasn't over. We didn't think it was over. We fought back. And we fought back for 2 months. 2 months. My brother was killed on the 1st of August. And when eventually it fell, we fled east. I fled east with other survivors. I made a vow then to protect my country the way my city protected our capital. Because as we fought, they built the defenses for Moscow. That's why Moscow still stands, is because Smolensk held for 2 months. This is my vow. This is who I am. I've been assigned the rank of junior lieutenant, despite my inexperience. But it must be because they knew I'd participated in some of the fighting in the outskirts of Smolensk. After that, not so much. But you were saying you were surprised to find such little equipment, such little supplies. I'm not so surprised. The further east you get, the better things look. We are still fighting a war mostly of retreat. They're still building all of the good stuff behind us, which is great, I'm sure, in someone's book. Not so much in mine.
I'm also a lieutenant junior. I have no idea why. I just had my brothers help me fill out the paperwork and stuff on my way here. So maybe they, I don't know, managed to fill out the things correctly, because all I have as a claim to my abilities is graduating and dancing. But I don't know. I am from farther back, and yeah, there is a lot more stuff there. I don't know why it's not out here. Seems like this place could use it, and I was hoping for much more in the way of modern planes and such. This is not what I thought it would be. However, we'll make our best, and we'll show them, and hopefully we'll get you some payback as well.
If they can teach a Nazi dog to fly a plane, they can teach a Russian bear.
Oh, that's very strong.
I'd like to see that.
Well, I suppose I'm leaves me as the odd one out. I'm Sergeant Volkovia. We will find some justice, I'm sure, for you. But mostly I'm here to fly. I want to fly planes. Ever since I was young, and I was taken up. I grew up in Leningrad, but my family were friends with somebody out more in the country that actually had a similar, not as fancy as these biplanes, but a similar style of plane that they took me up in, and ever since then, it's been my dream is to fly. I'm quite happy with the style of plane, actually. It's similar.
It sounds good to me. If you have experience with these kinds of things.
Well, I was very young, but it made an impression.
So, dear viewers, here's where we sort of look at our three sat on the cots, and I need to explain a bit about them and about what makes them all quite unique to each other. You'll see under their pictures there are some more information about them, and I'm sure, dear viewers, that as you've been watching, you've been able to pick out, and it's no surprise to you when I explain briefly about what this means, and you'll be like, aha, of course, I expected as much. So let's start with Senya, a raven. Now in this game, there are different natures and they're named after birds. And a raven is intelligent and curious, acquisitive and confident. Unlike sparrows, they aren't afraid to make a scene. And they're also carrion birds with a stubborn disregard for property. The mug suddenly makes so much sense to me.
Oh yes.
But yet, Senya is also a dreamer. In addition to the nightly clouds over German targets, dreamers have their head in clouds of their own making. Sometimes those dreams come in handy, sometimes they come true. Play a dreamer if things other than the here and now distract you, and you don't care if this gets you in trouble. Now, each of these types have different player sheets and different abilities. And for the dreamer, they fare far better under the dastardly NKVD's questioning. They're not really dastardly, they know what they want. And they advance between duty stations. They get to level up, I guess, if you shared a premonition and it came true. So I'm already getting a view for Senya already. Nick stuff and then tells you some hocus pocus.
And can't remember her name.
Exactly. That's because she's such a dreamer. Exactly. It's
Exactly.
perfect.
I did that on purpose.
It's
Yes.
just like you're away in the clouds.
Mm.
It's perfect. So to viewers, it's no surprise, right? That's Senya. To move to Vera. Vera is something very different. Vera's a hawk. And hawks are decisive and tough, showy and precise in their actions. They're obsessive hunters who strike without warning. But this ties in more. You see, while Vera may seem quiet and skittish right now, I feel this ties in very well with adventurer. Would you not say, Vera?
I would. I'd also like to defend my choice at the current moment. While she's somewhat nervous, generally speaking, when she's behind the stick or in the air, then a different Vera will emerge.
Well, if you look, she is the one with a +1 to her guts. There is a bravery to that.
And definitely isn't very gutsy on the ground, but.
But talking about in the air, she's an adventurer. She lives to fly. If she isn't behind the yoke and throttle of an aeroplane, they're thinking about how to get behind the yoke and throttle of an aeroplane. You play an adventure if you were born to fly and aren't afraid of anything. As an adventurer, you're adept at certain moves, a wheels down move, and you advance if you walked away from an utterly wrecked aircraft. So make sure you're not in a plane with Vera at any point.
Like we get to pick our assignments.
Well, if you rank up, you do. That's the best thing. You get to choose. The ranking officer gets to choose who goes where. And last but not least, Maria, also a raven, so also intelligent and curious, acquisitive and confident, which we've seen. Aren't afraid to make a scene, which we've seen. Also carrying birds with a stubborn disregard for property. She's also a protector. Protectors have a fierce loyalty to their sisters in arms and are driven to apply their skill and courage in the service of something bigger than themselves. For them, the war is personal. Play a protector if you'd rather take a bullet yourself than see a comrade hurt. As a protector, you're handy with aircraft repair and advance between duty stations if at some point you saved someone's life. So maybe she wants to be in the back of Vera's aircraft when it crashes. So there we go, dear viewers. I hope you feel like... Yes, you can use that boon. Next time, Senya, remember you've got a boon, and when you next want or need to make a roll, it will give you an extra 3. You can have 3 dice and keep your top 2. Okay.
Nice.
So I hope that's no surprise to anyone watching. I hope that all... it was no surprise to me, quite frankly, watching it.
It would have been shocking if it was a surprise to you.
I know. As you're sitting in the corner chatting about yourselves, Petrova re-enters and walks over to you. She's standing there looking as if she's expecting you to do something other than just sit there on your bunks.
I know enough to leap to my feet and give her a quick salute.
Yeah, Vera will mimic as she did on the ferry and snap to attention.
And I will follow my sisters.
I'm Senior Lieutenant Petrova. She turns on Vera. What's your name? Where are you from?
Sergeant Volkovia from Leningrad. Sir.
And you? She looks to Maria.
Junior Lieutenant Maria Kachushina, Smolensk.
Junior Lieutenant, nice to meet you. And you? Turns to Senya.
Junior Lieutenant Senya Voronin, and I'm from Chelyabinsk.
I know it well. I was there last year. Are they destroying the beautiful countryside more and more each week?
Yeah, it's thick clouds of smoke and roaring engines.
It's for the good of the Soviet Union.
For the motherland.
Absolutely. Now the three of you will be dividing you and all the other incoming trainees into pilots and navigators based on aptitude, but you will be qualified for either seat. Pilots in the front, navigators in back. These aeroplanes are simple, you see. Fuel and oil are gravity fed, so don't fly upside down. An air-cooled engine, no oil filter, just a mesh screen. Open cockpits. You see those pretty planes, those big powerful planes flying over earlier? Those are not what you're flying. Those are not what you're flying. No. You'll see the planes you're flying in a minute. Don't get your hopes up. Many things can go wrong. Flying at night, as you'll do every time, is strange and challenging. You'll need to memorize your cockpit layout. Down and to your left is the throttle, fuel mix lever, fuel cutoff switch, carburetor heat, elevator trim. To the left is your dash switch bank, pitot heat, master battery, panel lights, 2 magneto switches, gauges, fuel, altitude, airspeed. Am I going too fast?
Probably, but we'll catch up.
Good. Heading, altitude. Climb rate, engine RPM, oil pressure, temperature, fuel pressure gauge, cylinder temperature. Now I've reviewed your files. Your names do spring to mind, and you're quite a mixed bag, aren't you? She turns to Senya. You, Junior Lieutenant Voronin. Why did you want to join the 558th Fighter Regiment so badly?
I've been inspired by Marina Markova and all that she's accomplished and all the glory and wonder and the chances that she's gotten women in being able to fly. And I was part of the flying club back home, and I didn't want to work in a factory, so here I am.
A good answer. You're a good woman of the motherland. That's a strong answer. You, Sergeant Volkovia.
Yes, sir. I want to make the most of the opportunity afforded to me by Mother Russia and serve my country and kill some fascists. And she'll salute.
You'll get your chance soon enough. Training's very quick these days. And how about you, Junior Lieutenant Kachushina? Your intake form looks interesting. Is it all truthful? You didn't lie on it at all, did you? Some things don't seem to add up.
I would never lie on an official document.
Okay. So why did you want to join the 588?
I want to pursue our fascist enemies, see them utterly crushed, and hear the lamentations of their women.
Which you get away with because that film's not out
yet.
We know where it was quoted from now.
Very good. I must write that down to remember it. The lamentations. Oh, hopefully the lamentations of the men as well. Now, we have a treat for you. You will need to join the rest of the new recruits. Our major is waiting on the flight line. So gather yourselves and don't let me down. She's a very important woman. She commands the whole of the 588. Now, on your feet. Quick march.
Yes, sir. Senior Lieutenant, sir,
Yes?
quick question.
Yes.
If we know where we can put our hands on a plane, do we get to keep it?
Oh. That depends.
Well, Logistics 6 said there was a plane in a crate just outside, and she said she'd give it to us, so I don't think she thought we could move it.
Ah, Katyeva. Yes, yes. I'll go and talk to her and see if that is true. But thank you for the heads up. That's useful.
Yes, sir.
Now, the three of you, out you go. And at that point, we'll take a break as you march across to the line of planes.
Okay, as we march to see a plane.
Yay, the planes!
Finally, the planes.
Planes are good.
Already
It's
be
much
impressed.
harder to be a pilot without one.
Exactly. Okay, everyone, we'll be back in just 5 minutes, so please hang around. We're going to see some planes. That's quite exciting. And more besides. So,
Wait, do we get to fly them?
no. Your time will come, recruit.
Ah,
You have to build one first.
Yeah, get your own one. Right.
what an exercising roleplay that would be.
Exactly. You have to roll a dice for
Riveting.
every single thing, quite literally.
Right.
Right.
mean, it
IKEA
was only-
furniture, the TTRPG.
It can't be that hard. There was only 30 pieces that you mentioned in the whole dashboard. So
Exactly. They're quite simple in a way. Right. Let's go. Back in 5, everyone. Go grab a drink. Go to the loot. We'll see you in a sec.
See you in a bit.
Yes.
Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's Boys from the Baltic Star. We are here this evening playing Night Witches, and we are joined by Kelly. So it's a wonderful night. I feel warm and fuzzy. It might be the radiator behind me, and it might be Ewan's feet, but I do feel warm and fuzzy. So,
Right. Less than the fuzzy feet.
I'm getting the joy. I'm getting the joy out now before it becomes miserable again. If anyone's got a joke or anything light-hearted to say, now's the time.
That'll be a no.
That'll be a no. Right. So, you move out from A barracks, and you go down the central pathway that would lead up to the parade, and downwards to the plains there.
Mhm.
And there they are, lined up. The regiment's PO2s. They're in formation on the flight line. Each fragile craft lovingly tended by a pair of mechanic armourers. Senior Lieutenant Petrova forms you into rough order and salutes a stern older woman with gold shoulder boards. The Major. Next to her is Captain Lobodeva, who you met on the ferry, her chief of staff, along with several other officers. The Major looks over at you. No, I don't think it'd help Ben either. He's a lost cause, like a little lost lamb in the field. Comrades, welcome to the regiment, she says. I am Major Yevdokia Bershanskaya, your commander. I will expect you to comport yourselves at all times as a natural-born Soviet airwoman. We will fly these, and she points to the biplanes behind her. The Polikarpov PO2 LNB, a simple two-seat canvas and wood biplane, has been determined to be ideal for our mission by the great operational minds of the 4th Army Air Force, and we are certainly not going to doubt their wisdom in this matter, are we? So, let's talk about that mission, shall we? The Major stops and walks up and down the line. Stops and looks at each of you, so almost sizing you up. Not aggressively, but certainly not friendly. She moves down to the end. You hear her talking something quite private to one of the other recruits that you can't quite make out. You're outside, it's still sleeting, and you can't quite hear it. And then she makes her way back up, and she stands right in front of Senya. You, what's your name?
Senya Voronin, sir. Salute.
Ah, splendid. What rank are you taking at this moment?
Junior Lieutenant, sir.
Did you train at all with a flying club or glider school or anything, or are you fresh?
I have some classroom knowledge, sir, from the flying club.
Ah. Is there any of you, she sort of motions to the three of you and a couple of others near you, is there any of you at all that have training with flying clubs or glider schools?
No, sir, not really.
Vera says, "Sir, I've co-piloted a plane before, sir.
Have you indeed?
I was very young at the time."
Ah, your dad didn't put you on his lap, did he?
She sort of shrinks a little bit at that. Not my father, sir.
Okay. Well, good to see someone with some experience. Interesting. So, you see, and she sort of steps back a little bit. Now, as you can see from this plane, There are 3 places that you can put a bullet that will break the PO2. The small fuel tank, the compact engine, or, and this is the one you definitely don't want, the pilot. Anything else just passes through and you keep flying. Honestly, of those 3, the pilot doesn't really count because in the plane you have a spare. Now, there is no radio in the PO2. Individual air crews communicate with hand signals or by using a speaking tube, and communication between planes in the same section is by flashlights, flare, or hand signal. We will work together so closely, night after night, that you'll be able to read another plane's intent purely by instinct. Just the slightest nudge of the nose, the dip of the wing, just by looking at what's around you. Now, the PO2 is not a fighter, it's a bomber. Each wing has 6 attachment points for FAB-50 fragmentation bombs. The release mechanism for these bombs is unreliable, I'm afraid. In the event of a hanging bomb, you navigators will need to climb out onto the wing as you fly and release it manually. When FAB-50s aren't available, we will drop sawn-off railroad ties instead. Not as explosive, but do damage. Since our mission profiles rarely have us flying above 1,200 meters, and weight is at a premium, parachutes are not standard equipment. That's not to say you'll survive the fall, but a parachute wouldn't really open in the time anyway. Now, formation drill is at 1,700 hours. I expect you to be crisp. It is now my pleasure to administer the oath of a Soviet soldier and induct you into the Red Army Air Force 4th Air Army. Now, I'm not going to make you all stand unless you want to, but we're going to take an oath together. And I'll repeat a line, and then I need you to repeat it back to me, and then you will be part of the 588.
Out of order, Luke. I am standing, but yeah, okay.
Okay, good. So when I say name, please use the name and don't say name. I don't think that'll go down very well. It's not a good joke. And of course, it is your character's name and not yours, unless you want to join the Soviet Union army. I
didn't know that was an option to that.
Oh yeah, that's in the back of the book. I name.
I
Fenya
Maria
Voronov,
Petrovna,
Promise to rise to the defense of my motherland.
promise
promise
to
to
rise
rise
to
to
my
the
motherland.
defense of my motherland.
The Union of Soviet Socialist Republics.
The
Union
Union
of
of
Socialist
Soviet
Republic.
and Socialist
Republic.
Republics.
As a fighting man of the Workers' and Peasants' Red Army.
As a fighting man
woman
of the Workers' and Peasants' Red Army.
Red Army.
I promise to defend it bravely.
I promise
to defend it bravely.
Skillfully.
Skillfully.
With dignity and honor.
With
Dignity
dignity
and honor.
Sparing neither my blood nor my life.
Sparing
neither
my blood
my
nor
blood
my life.
nor my life.
Itself for the achievement of total victory over our enemies.
Itself
Itself
for the achievement of total victory
over our
our
enemies.
You are dismissed. And the major walks off, just leaving you stood there in the line and slight huddles.
Throw my hat into the air.
You know what? I'll do the same. Good idea.
She hasn't been out of university long.
The captain comes over to you, Captain Lobodeva, sort of as sort of the recruits sort of gather in a little bit from their line. Congratulations to you all. You are now members of the Workers and Peasants Red Army. But you're not yet fully fledged airwomen. Now, all of you, go to the mess tent so you can get some food after such a busy morning. Classroom instruction begins tomorrow at dusk in classroom F. And she turns
Classroom
on her,
F.
and she turns on her heels and heads off.
Kind of spin around looking for a big sign that says mess hall.
This way, I think. Away from the
or
flight
where
line.
everybody else is going.
You do see a few sort of looking confused, but then there's a couple that sort of start heading back up the big path to look.
Oh, gods, I haven't even realized I haven't eaten all day. It's been so exciting.
It's been an interesting day. Today they let us see a plane. Tomorrow they may let us touch one.
Do you
Boy.
think that's part of the classroom exercises material?
I don't know. It's all very new to me.
I still say we should have that other plane in the crate. It was offered to us.
I mean, it sounds like something that we could use, but I mean, it's ours anyway, right? It was in our store area.
Good point. I'm sure it'll come to us. In fact, I have this feeling. I get them sometimes. I get it from my grandmother, I think.
I've got to make a note of that, Kelly. Thank you very much.
A premonition? Feeling?
Maybe. It's maybe not as strong as some I've had, but yeah. I have a good feeling about this.
Good.
We'll make our names known in no time at all.
Well, that sounds good, as long as they're known for, mentions in newspapers and not for being written on memorials.
Vera takes a look to the name on her uniform, makes a mental note of it, depending on where it is.
Do you want the name? I can give you a name if you want. Do you want to share it with people?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought that was a brilliant move so that you could be misremembered.
It's Ruslan, Ruslan.
LAN.
RUSN.
Wonderful.
Hang on, and that's his first name.
Yeah.
And his surname is Vavilov, Vavilov.
Thanks.
Ruslan Vavilov. Okay. As you sort of wander, you sort of get pulled along and sort of caught up with sort of the 17 other women, all heading towards the mess room. And when you get there, it's not the best smell you've ever smelled, but considering none of you have really eaten since the day before, it's welcoming nonetheless. You go in and there's a series of sort of trestle tables and benches, simple benches along each of them, split into sort of space for 8 at a table. And along the far end, there's a classic sort of mess, sort of a canteen, almost simple, basic canteen where you can go and get your food. And by the time you're there are already women walking back to their seats. It is very simple fare. It's quite a sturdy looking broth that appears to have some potatoes in, maybe a slight flash of veg, and what could potentially be chicken heart. It's got everything covered. It's warm, protein, everything you need. And with it, maybe a small chunk of bread, and a piping hot drink.
Is there sort of a queue to join to collect some food?
Yeah, by the time you get there, there's only like 3 or 4 in front of you.
Head straight to the queue and go along and collect some grubs.
The person.
Hello, Maria. Oh, it's warm in here. Oh, I didn't realize how cold it was out there.
It's nicer, and the smell is good. The food is good.
Yeah. Mmm.
Oh, there is chatter. There is a sort of the steam of the soup is sort of sitting around the top of the ceiling. Just from the kitchen, you can hear radio. I'm going to try some background sound check. Can you tell me if it's too loud, please? I just want to create a nice vibe for now. We're allowed nice vibes in War from time to time. Just let me know if it's annoyingly loud. You can hear sort of a modern song from just the last year or two playing through, reminding you of how close and yet how far away your life before was. The food looks filling. The portions are pretty good. And while many of the tables are full, there is space at one at the end that only has a couple of other women on.
As soon as I've got my food and a mug of drink, I will head over to find somewhere where the three of us can sit together, basically.
Yeah, I imagine Vera lets the other two go first for the food and then follows if they are sitting together to where they are sitting.
Yep, follow along. Get the food, go sit by Maria.
You know what would make this better? Some smetana, and then throw away everything else.
Vera takes a spoonful and says, or more paprika.
More paprika. Good.
Well, you can never go wrong with pepper.
It's true.
So, apparently, well, it's kind of a. You were wondering about that feeling I had about how good our luck will be, or I think you call it a premonition, Vera. If you like, I can tell you while we eat a little bit more about where that comes from.
Interesting.
My grandmother Anya, she was always considered somewhat a bit odd. Great stitch work, which always made everybody else happy. I mean, she could quilt and knit and do all sorts of the things like that. So she was never out of work and stuff to do, but she never fit in with everybody else. I loved her though, because she was different, and she had a reputation for, and I kind of look around a little bit and drop my voice a little bit, for being a witch, actually, which makes the story that much more interesting. She told me she had something called like the second sight, that she could see things and sometimes had feelings about things. And she said that maybe that's where my dreaminess, I guess is what my father called it, my dreaminess came from, and maybe it would eventually evolve into something. But she was known to forecast my uncle's death, one of my aunt's death, and she certainly was able to tell when my brother was lost on one of his missions and stuff, when the tank broke down and they weren't heard from again. She was certain that he would turn up in not too long and be hale and hearty, and he was. So obviously she has some kind of ability there, and I don't know. I like to think that maybe I carry after my grandmother. I certainly didn't want to stay at home and be factory worker and such that my family did, and they're not happy that I snuck off to do this, but I think it's going to work out. I'm following one of those premonitions.
Vera, whose eyes are still sort of darting all over the room, leans in a little bit closer and just says, "Tell me, did you consult her about joining the 588?"
I did. When I couldn't get into the ballet and stuff, I was very disappointed because I didn't want to end up in the factory. And so I went to my grandmother and, the usual thing. I poured out my heart to her. She made me some nice tea and we sat and talked, and she asked me what I wanted to do and what I liked and what I've been doing lately. And I told her of the flying club, and she said she had a dream of birds and flying tanks and my face that she remembers. So she gave her blessing, and her lunch is what sustained me for the first couple of days. Hopefully she told my parents by now.
Vera sort of has a sort of hidden laugh, snigger. But no tragedy, no bad. That clearly is for you or your friends.
Well, no, but I'm not sure she would have told me either.
Yes, yeah, perhaps.
As you're chatting, a woman at the same table leans over and sort of smiles at you and says, "Your grandmother sounds like an interesting woman, an imparter of much wisdom in a way."
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes it's nice to think outside the box, to dream a little and not be stuck by all those other things that we're told that we have to do all the time.
Ah, I agree. I'm one that likes to forge my own path. I don't like to get caught up in what's expected. The name's Zabova.
Senya.
Arena Zabova. A pleasure to meet you all. I saw. I'm sure it was you earlier in the room, getting shouted at by the in L6, wasn't it?
Oh yes, the sergeant. They were very loud.
I must be honest. I don't know. I've had my eye on her mug for a long time.
It's hard to find a good mug.
It is. It would be a real shame for her to lose out on it, I guess.
Yeah, you know how sometimes those things just go missing, though, and you have to hope they turn up. You put it down somewhere that you've been drinking for a while, and you just forget where it was.
Indeed, I don't want to say too much more now, but I have a feeling that she may not have that mug for much longer.
Oh, is that a premonition?
I don't know. Are you one for premonitions? Well, who knows? Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. They do say I'm pretty lucky, it must be said, and I'm not against doing my own thing. I could always do with someone to watch a door for me.
Door watching sounds kind of boring, but
If you want to get involved as well, definitely up for that. Next to her, there's another woman that sort of overhears, and she says, "Shh! Don't cause us any trouble. That's the last thing we need. Not on our first day. Just at least leave it a few days, ladies. Please, please, please." And she smiles at the three of you. Says, "The name's Radina. Radina, I'm from Smolensk."
Same as me.
Ah, what a pleasure to see. I thought recognise the accent.
We're both a long way from home.
Well, yeah, that's why I don't want to. I don't want it to go wrong. I'm here. I want to be here for the long haul. I want to do my bit, you know.
Well, I think, to be fair, based on the plane that we saw earlier, it'll be quite a long tour of duty just flying to the target. It did not look fast to me.
Oh, I just hope that that one of us gets the chance to read a book while the other one's doing all the hard work.
You dream big.
Yeah. They do say I'm a dreamer, but looking around this table, I'm not the only one.
Yes.
I have a feeling we'll be good navigators.
Oh, I think so. I've heard that that while we have to learn both, that they will start to look at choosing one or the other for us going forwards.
I mean, if you can read a book, you can read a map. At some point, with some training.
Yes, that is true. That is true. I think that might be where my skill lies, rather than piloting the thing. I'd be afraid to crash straight into the ground.
Wonder where the plot would turn and the protagonists die. On a map.
I think it's when you try to fold it back up again in the same way it was before.
Ah, yes.
So at this point, the chat continues and the evening plays out. The vibes are good. People are happy to be there. A lot have travelled for a number of days, and it's just nice to sit down and feed your bellies. There's enough for small amounts of seconds for people. There's enough hot drinks to warm you up inside, and it's almost sad when it's time to leave the mess and head back to your barracks, which, while warm on the outside, is not as homely as the mess as it stands now. But one by one, each of you manage to drift off to sleep and get as much rest as you can in such a situation, in new beds with the creaking of sounds. Every now and again, a woman getting up and making the terrible trip out the door, round the corner to the unmarked latrines behind. You hear the tinkle in a couple of cans where people have decided they'd rather just stay inside and risk the ire of others than take on the cold winter night. But the morning comes, and the following morning, we find ourselves in a crowded building, almost more like a tent, almost. There's one or two solid walls, but the roof certainly isn't. And it's configured as a classroom, alongside by the parade. There's a pungent smell of aviation gasoline, which is permeating everything, and the roaring of aircraft occasionally interrupting a lesson. You're trying to listen, but it's a noisy place to be. Your first class is on political consciousness for aviation troops, and is conducted by two women in the grey tunics of NKVD officers. Let's pull this up. The NKVD is the Soviet secret police, and her officers are not to be trifled with. Two are attached to every regiment and will remain attached to yours. Good morning, trainees, says the ranking officer. I am Captain Olga I. Barsukova. And this, she points to the side, is my deputy, Lieutenant Svetlana Sheremeteva. Our job is to encourage your continued development as politically conscious and socially engaged communists. But we must never forget that we are also military officers with security responsibilities within the regiment. As you're sort of sat there trying to mix your time between taking notes but not looking away, because surely the worst thing, the thing that make you look most guilty, is to look away from Captain Olga Baskova when she's looking around. But sadly, Vera, as your eyes briefly flit away, she singles you out. Naturally, she singles you out and consults her notes. What's your name, comrade?
Sir, Sergeant Volkovia. Sir, comrade commissar.
Sergeant Volkovia. Ah, comrade, where are you from?
Leningrad, sir.
Leningrad, comrade. Now, an easy question for you, as it is our first lesson. Would you say that enemies of our people, the bourgeoisie of course, but also aristocrats, religious figures, social parasites, eggheads, nationalists, are these dangerous elements any less a threat than the fascists?
No, comrade commissar.
Interesting. Thank you, comrade. Thank you for answering so abruptly. We're all here to protect the regiment. Isn't that right? She turns on Maria.
We're here to protect the Soviet Union.
We are, comrade. What's your name?
Maria Katyushina.
That's a good communist name, Maria, comrade. Think carefully about helping your friends. You see, military personnel who fail to report treason are themselves subject to 10 years imprisonment. Now, Katyushina, do you think it's important for military personnel to report treason for the good of our country and for the good of our great land?
Captain, if there is treason that would threaten our ability to defeat the Nazi menace, it must be dealt with immediately.
You see a smile play at the edge of her mouth. Excellent, very good, very good. And you see her sort of make a slight tick on the paper, sort of halfway down. You see, when I find a counter-revolutionary, she points to Voronin, when I find a counter-revolutionary, what do you think I should do?
Counter them, Captain.
You see, I will arrest her. Do you think I am correct to arrest her?
Of course.
And what is your name?
Senya Voronin, Captain.
Ah, Voronin. Well, Comrade Voronin, if I find someone undermining or weakening the external security of the USSR by means of slacking or weakening the external security of the USSR by means of slacking or weakening, or parasitism, aiding the enemy, well, what is that, comrade?
Bad?
Yes. It's treason, woman. Treason, my friend. Section 58(1)(b) clearly states, she starts tapping at her thing, clearly states that treason by military personnel incurs an immediate sentence of what?
Death?
Yes. She's off your case a little bit at this point. She sort of leans back away from you a little. Yes. Death. Should the offender run away, the same statute allows for the imprisonment of their relatives.
Oh, I don't think that's right.
Oh, my heart leapt, it beated. Oh my goodness. I hope you're doing well, Lollygags, by the way. I just need a moment here. Oh, goodness. Okay.
I stopped doodling, by the way, and paid more attention.
Right. Are you going to act in a hooliganish way? So like a bit of a, not, it doesn't necessarily mean hooligan, but a bit like anti-establishment kind of vibe. Or are you going to act very prim and proper, like a lady? Or are you going to act
proper?
Okay, could you roll a 2d6 with guts, please?
That would be a 6.
She marches straight up to you. Her face in your face. Calmness playing across her features, but in your eyes, in her eyes, you can see a certain fire. What did you say your name is, comrade?
Senya Veronin, Captain? Sir?
Comrade Veronin, everyone, believes that if someone is conscious non-execution or deliberate careless execution of defined duties aimed at the weakening of the power of the government and of the functioning of the state apparatus, what do you think should happen to that?
Are you asking me, sir?
Yes, answer quickly.
They should be stopped.
And if I find someone undermining or weakening the external security of the USSR by means of slacking or wrecking or parasitism or aiding with the enemy, in other words, treason, and they run away, leaving their family guilty by association, you do not believe that the relatives should be punished?
Well, what if the relatives don't know, Captain, or if the relatives have been contributing already to society, or they're in a position of power where they are already contributing much more than the person that is running away?
Now, she takes a step back. Says, now, this unit is like a family. And as a family, we take responsibility for each other's actions. We must work together. If one person does not correctly prepare a plane and it crashes, it is their fault. If someone knows that there is treason among their sisters and they do not respond, they are guilty. They are as guilty for not reporting it as the treasonous sister herself. And it is the same in family. If one person does not stand up and accept their treason, then their family, as with sisters here, should be punished. And she turns to her aide. Lieutenant Sheramateva, you will sit here with Junior Lieutenant Veronin when everyone else is at lunch, and she will repeat back to you statements of understanding, of treason, and of the laws for 2 hours. Is that understood? And Sheremeteva nods. Understood, comrades. And she just stands there, not saying anything else, as Barskova turns back to the rest of the group. You, she points at Radina. And Radina's like, she's like, yes, the family should be punished. Yes, I agree. And so Barskova smiles. Good. And she sort of looks around and she picks up someone else. She says, "And your name? What's your name?" The woman steps forward a little. Says, "My name is Dina Osina." And Barskova nods. She says, "Comrade Osina, do you feel I was overly kind in allowing Comrade Ronin to undertake only 2 hours of extra learning?" And Osina pauses for a minute. And she sort of looks at you with a bit of a smile. And she says, "I feel, Captain, that for the good of the motherland, 2 hours feels not long enough." And Barskova smiles. Says, "That's a good point. A good point. Make that 3 hours. 3 hours, please, Lieutenant." And the lieutenant nods. As Osina sort of totally refuses to make eye contact in your direction.
Good, because I'm squinting.
Barskova straightens up again. "Listen, I want you to have success here. So I will warn you about Section 5814, all of you. Deals with counter-revolutionary sabotage, conscious non-execution or deliberately careless execution of defined duties, aimed at the weakening of the power of the government and of the functioning of the state apparatus. It is subject to at least 1 year of imprisonment, and under especially aggravating circumstances, up to the highest measure of social protection, execution with confiscation of property. I burn for the opportunity to hang a saboteur. I hope we understand each other."
Yes, Captain. We're a family.
Yes, comrade.
Yes, sir.
She sort of starts to walk up and down the line again after her big thing, sort of looking to see if notes have been made, looking to see if there's some sort of understanding. And then she goes for a bit of a classic pop quiz at the end of the session. And first up is Maria. You. What does the Marxist-Leninist struggle against the forces of reaction mean to you personally?
Well, I studied the dialectic, of course, at school and learnt the correct formalities of it. Right now, I cannot see past the simple reality that we are seeing it play out on a grand scheme right in front of our eyes every day. It means winning and losing, killing and dying, and it means protecting the homeland, protecting the family.
It's very important to protect the homeland and protect the family. She walks down the line a bit further to you, Vera. When were you last disciplined? By whom and what was the reason?
Commissar, my father no longer speaks to me after I enlisted. That to me has been the greatest discipline I've received.
Is he not a man that wishes well for the country, for the cause?
He does. But he also wishes well for. He worries too much. Comrade Conson.
There is a danger among some weak people who worry too much for strong, able women like yourselves. Sister,
Yes, sir.
comrades, you will be a great pilot, and your father will be proven wrong to worry. Just remember the ways of the leader and the ways of our teachings, and you'll be just fine. She continues walking down to you, Senya, and sort of scowls at you a bit, of course.
Got my hand over the doodles.
Now, you, my troublemaker.
Yes, sir,
What
Captain.
what would you be doing, and what would you do if we didn't let you fly?
Whatever I could, sir, I would endeavor to use my abilities and work my hardest to make sure that the planes and such were ready for anybody else that needed to fly.
You see a nod. You've definitely not won her over, but she can't deny a good answer, if that makes sense. Good, good, good. And in fact, she sort of half backs away and opens her voice louder to everyone. I would hope that that would be the wish of all of you here. If there's at any time when you cannot fly, or when it's decided you cannot fly, I hope you would support your sisters and your comrades here to the best of your abilities. But remember, the most important thing you can do to help your sisters and to help the 588 is to inform me of any treachery and of anyone who does not truly believe in what we stand for. And at that point, she looks at her timepiece, and it says, "Okay, all of you except my my little friend here, you may go for lunch."
Maria will not leave as the others do.
Now, as much as
Vera will.
straight up. Now, she looks at you, Maria. As much as you gave a good answer, comrade, I wouldn't like to say I don't believe I could call you my little friend. So why do you remain?
There are two reasons. The first is because I hear there will be additional instruction, and I would rather learn more than eat more today. The second is, as you said yourself, we are family. I will stay with my sister.
Oh, I want to give you a roll for this. I'm trying to work out the best way of doing it though, because that would go down quite well. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it a reach out. Could you roll a 2d6, please? Just a flat 2d6.
Flat 2d6. Yep, I can do that. Oh, that's not terrible, I think. After a couple of awful ones earlier. That's a 9.
A 9, okay. A reach out is normally when you you sort of are sending a letter or talking to someone, a secret, a truth, or something like that. But because you're sort of revealing yourself as different to the others, I guess, in your desire, for me that feels like reaching out because it might change your relationship with Barskova, for example. So you can choose one. and I'll let you choose one of these three things. One you can't do, because one is removing harm, which you can't do. You don't have any harm at the minute. That's something we'll go into in future sessions. And you can't do, you don't have a filled regard slot. So regard slot is something we'll talk about next time, which is you can make, you can have someone that you admire or respect or pity or fear or someone. That's something that will add as you complete some missions.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing is a very useful thing you can do by succeeding. And that is add one to the mission pool. And this is
definitely.
And this is something that Kaylee talks about before the stream, actually. And that sort of that helps everyone out. So we'll put 3 Copex in there.
We will definitely do that. That sounds exactly like what a protector would do.
Barsakova smiles at you and she nods and she says, a good, strong attitude. You will go far. Please sit down next to your colleague. And what you've done is you've created a more positive atmosphere to this extra time, I guess, which has actually, and because it's an abstract, this extra point, anything that sort of increases the vibe, the positivity, something good happens, gives you that extra point for later on when you might need it. So that's very good.
Excellent.
The two of you have got a minute, if you wish, while the captain and the lieutenant talk to each other at the doorway, if you so wish.
I hope Vera snagged some food for us. You didn't need to stay, you know, but thank you very much.
I don't like seeing people picked on.
It's okay. She made a friend, apparently. I'm her little friend.
Could be useful.
I'll certainly remember to remind her of it.
And guess what? We get, 3 extra hours of learning. Great. It'll fly by.
I'm sure it will. I am kind of interested, though, to see if the lieutenant actually is that into it as well. Seems like kind of a punishment for them.
Yeah, I can imagine. Still, we all did these kind of things at school. They're pointless exercises, but, you know, they don't really do you any harm.
Yeah, that's my thinking, too.
At this point, the captain leaves, and the sort of lieutenant salutes and comes back through. And if she doesn't truly believe and doesn't really want to be there, it's hard to tell. She seems to go into automatic, but it could be because she said the same things 100 times over the last year. You know.
Yeah.
There's no particular joy in the voice, but there's also no particular sign that she doesn't believe. It's a very professional approach. Briefly, I'd like to go to Vera at dinner. Are you just going to look after yourself, Vera, or are you going to try and help out your comrades?
Vera will. She'll go to lunch. She'll sit down and maybe. I mean, she's quite small, compact, as the character sheet says. She doesn't need so much. She'll probably eat half her lunch, and then she'll head back up and attempt to get 2 extra lunches.
Do you want to do this through the channel, so speaking to the people, or do you want to do it without it?
No, she'll definitely speak to people. She'll explain. They've been held back by Barsakova. You know how things are.
The serving crew are sergeants and privates, so they certainly don't outrank you. But at the talk of Barsakova, there is a certain nervousness among them, and there's a bit
Sorry,
No.
she'll say, "I'll no, don't worry. I'll get permission before bringing them their food."
Mm. Could you roll 2d6, just straight d6, please? You're going through
Yeah.
channels, basically. You're going through the channels to do it.
That's the 7.
7. Okay.
Less than 9.
After a bit of whispering, they gather together some of the lunch. None of the wet stuff. So again, yet another soup is not there, but they put together some bread, a couple of boiled potatoes in together, enough that would keep someone going for an afternoon, just about. And they sort of put it all in together and sort of put it into like a cloth and hand it over to you. But one of 3 things, you need to choose one of 3 things that's going to happen.
Yeah.
1, you attract unwanted attention. 2, the food you get is poor quality. Or 3, you're going to incur a debt.
All good options. Let's attract some unwanted attention.
Oh, as you're doing this, you hear a voice that is already quite annoying. Shout out, Sergeant Volkovia, what have you got there? And up towards you walks Dina Orsina. What have you got? What have you got there? Why have they given you these cloths?
This is given the right permissions. This is lunch for my comrades, my sisters.
I believe that one doesn't deserve a lunch, surely.
Well, there was no mention of skipping lunch, just of taking extra lessons. So I thought I would ask permission and deliver them lunch so they could better serve our Soviet motherland. A nourished soldier is an effective soldier.
You sort of catch her a bit at that, and she thinks for a minute, and then she sort of takes a step away and says, Sergeant Volkovia, you know what was being said in the lesson this morning? I'm not against telling my superiors things they need to know. You need to be aware of that. It's for the good of the motherland, and it's for the good of the war effort. So, if I see you doing anything that could be seen as that, careless execution of duties, slacking, undermining the security of the USSR, please understand, I will not waste any time in talking to the NKVD.
It's understood.
Good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have my lunch to finish. And she leaves you there with your hidden lunches.
And there's a big gasp of relief, I suppose, after the rather uncomfortable Bavira confrontation. But she'll head back to the classroom.
Okay. There's as you head back, the The meeting is the talking, the lesson, the extra lesson is still in full flow at this as it stands, and it's just the lieutenant and your two comrades in there with her.
And she'll knock on the door. And then enter.
Section 58.1b clearly states that treason by military personnel incurs an immediate death. Yes, can I help you?
My apologies, Lieutenant, for interrupting a very important lesson. I thought I might bring my sisters some lunch whilst they learn, so that they may be better nourished. And she thinks back to her previous spiel, better nourished to serve the motherland. And she holds out the cloth full of food.
The lieutenant reaches into it and takes for herself one of the two chunks of bread. And then she says, "Very well," and lets you take the rest over to the other two.
Vera will make her way to the tables and hand it over.
Oh, Vera, thank you. I was hoping you'd do that.
She'll whisper to Sina, I'm sorry, it's not more.
Oh, no, this is great.
Thank you, comrade.
What else was there besides bread? Sorry.
It was some now slightly cool potatoes. There's not much excitement going on around here. And a very thin sliver of cured meat. There's not much of that, though.
I will get up and go back over to the lieutenant and offer them the sliver of meat for your sandwich, Lieutenant.
That's very kind of you. That's very kind. Talking is very tiring work. It makes me very hungry. Thank you very much.
Well, after all, you had to miss your lunch as well. I'm sorry about that.
That's all for the good. If I can teach you how to be a better soldier, then it's worth my time.
And I'll spit back a couple of the lines that I've spent hours learning.
Very good, very good.
Nice.
Finally you're learning. Okay, well we can take a. She sort of looks. We can take a 5-minute break to eat before we continue for the last hour.
Oh, thank you.
Vera will leave. She'll salute the lieutenant, and she'll turn to whatever political picture is in the wall and salute that as well, and then very quickly walk out the room back to the lunchroom.
The meal goes down well as it can, and the hour passes as it would, and hours and afternoons and days go by. Often monotonous classroom instruction under the tutelage of Captain Buskova and Senior Lieutenant Petrova. Every now and again, a slightly more exciting lesson out by the plains, especially for Vera, the more interesting part of the day. And lessons on navigation, on weather, on waypoints, some singing of good communist songs. You were formed into 3 aircraft section as part of the training squadron. If I can find it, I shall place it up there. There we go. I just need to get rid of Buskova. And the 3 of you find yourselves, unsurprisingly, with the 3 other women whose cards I've made for the game. Junior Lieutenant Kashina, Junior Lieutenant Voronin, Sergeant Radina, Sergeant Asina, Sergeant Volkovia, Sergeant Zubova, and a seventh name on the list, one that you've not seen before, Sergeant Palinka. When given the sheet, Petrova just shrugs and tells you that she's due to be here, but it's held up, and that she should be coming for the second half of training, and that she'll be expected to catch up quickly, and that all of you will do your best to properly integrate her into the squad.
Naturally.
Spit out one of those lines that I just learned not too long ago.
Luckily for you, Barsakova is nearby and nods back, seemingly happy that she's finally got through that thick skull of yours. Some of the truths that you needed to know. And sadly, for the time is late here in the UK, that is where we shall finish this evening. Ready to fly our first ever mission next week.
Fantastic.
Yay!
Wonderful stuff.
I'm still going to get to touch the planes yet, but hey.
Yeah.
A game about
It'll
flying
happen.
missions, and nothing's happened.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Luke.
That was fun, Luke. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks, Kelly, for joining us.
Absolutely.
And of
for
course,
having me.
Ben.
Yes, thank you, each of you. We'll be back
Yes,
for
it's
more.
a real treat to have you with us, Kelly. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks for having me.
That's okay. Well, the best thing about this is we're doing it every Saturday for the rest of the month. So if you're around, Kelly, we get to see you again next Saturday.
Yeah, hopefully.
We don't have to wait long.
Nice.
That would be wonderful. Yeah, it's just a week. Fantastic.
I'm looking forward to it.
And we'll have
Getting
the late Sergeant Palinka with us.
Yes.
Not
We can
late
all
in that way.
dodge bullets together.
Yeah, not
Not the late sergeant.
Careful with the wording.
Except, but the planes are safe. There's only 3 places they can shoot you down.
Wait, are we playing Zombie Night Witches?
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
I want to get one of their comrade manuals, one of those thicker leather ones, and that's what I'll be sitting on.
yes, a
Yeah.
little bit of extra padding too. Right, a bit of safety. Right. So, but as I said, so we got one more thing this Baltic Star weekend.
Just one more thing.
Just one more thing. Ben, why don't you tell us what's happening on Monday?
On Monday, and this genuinely is one of my favourite things to do in the week. Luke is going to play the slightly scary narrative video game, The Quarry. I say slightly scary. It is very slightly scary. However, Luke's reaction to it is epic, because he's terrified of tree branches, squirrels, loud noises, quiet noises, people who talk fast, people who talk slow, people who don't talk at all. It's amazing. Everything makes him jump and squeal, and it's very, very funny.
You've sold it very well, Ben. For people that want to see a grown man quiver.
At the sight of a squirrel.
It was a scary squirrel. It jumped out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it, all right?
Tell us, Luke, are the scary squirrels in the room with us now?
Yes, can you see them at the moment?
Well, that's what I'm going to do anyway. So feel free, all of you, to join and mock me. That's on Monday night. It's a bit later, 11:45 UK time. And then you can all have a few days off. Then Thursday, I should be back to play some Cyberpunk. I think there's no reason not to this week. And then Friday's Traveller, I believe, Ben?
Friday's Traveller.
Sounds right.
And then next Saturday, so a week tonight, we'll be back to take on some Nazis.
Excellent. Not in the first mission. You're basically dropping fake bombs on flower pots or something like that, I think. But after that, Nazis.
As long as we eventually get to the Nazis.
We have to learn to properly kick bollockses though first.
That is true. We're going to have to learn how to do that, apparently.
It's established canon now, so yeah.
Right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate it. For those that hung out, especially for hanging out the whole time, we really appreciate you for that. You are
Thank you.
You are a wonderful cheerleader, and you did an excellent job on that. And thank you everyone else that joined us and hung out in that. And hopefully we'll see you all soon. Sleep well, everyone. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.